At this time, only 18 states require any person who suspects child abuse or neglect to report. This is where we need to make changes to protect our children. There should be stricter federal regulations that all citizens should legally be obligated to adhere to. I believe that there is a solution that can help lower the incidences of child maltreatment in our country. Our country should implement universal mandatory reporting laws with stricter penalties and universal child protection education so that everyone knows it is their duty to report child abuse of children in order to have the fullest impact on protecting them. I believe that doing this would change the way that society views what child maltreatment is, how to identify it, how to report it, and that everyone can and should say something because it is required by law, not by choice. By doing so, you take out the person's questioning of themselves on what they should do and the ill feelings they may have toward reporting. If it is mandatory, it takes it out of that person's hands and puts it into the hands of professionals to resolve it. Researchers examine the relationship between universal mandatory reporting and child physical abuse. Results indicate that non-professionals were more likely to make reports in a universal mandatory reporting state, 19.5% versus 14%, with higher proportions of reports made by other sources such as a parent, relative, friend, or neighbor. The federal government has left it up to the states to decide whether to require universal mandated reporting by all adults. By requiring all states to adopt regulation that requires universal mandated reporting, we could effectively combat child abuse across the country through enactment, education, and enforcement. Rebecca Meyer addressed these 3 points in a 2020 Liberty University Law Review discussion on child abuse titled, "When Am I My Brother's Keeper?" calling them the 3 E's. The first E is enactment. The enactment of stricter laws and penalties and universal mandated reporting laws. There's plenty of opportunity for enacting stricter penalties for failure to report child abuse, while many states impose a misdemeanor charge with a small fine. Florida and Delaware hold the strictest penalties with large fines up to $50,000 and up to 5 years in jail, and since imposing these, abuse cases have declined. The second E is education. Educating citizens of the legally imposed duty under universal mandated reporting statutes and how to respond. Citizens must be aware of the laws and their duty to report known or reasonably suspected cases of child abuse and how to make a report. Educating the public on what specific signs to look for, what Child Protective Services considers to be abusive, then more individuals would feel better prepared to take action and make a call to report such abuse. This can be done through public service announcements, social media platforms, and pamphlets at schools and doctors' offices. Similar campaigns have been proved to be successful in spreading awareness and prevention to decrease prevalence. The third E is enforcing. Enforcing enacted laws. Change will not take place without effective enforcement of the laws. Currently, mandatory reporting laws are poorly understood and seldom enforced. Too often, laws are ignored, and even when made clear. Since 2010, Colorado prosecutors have brought forth just 46 criminal cases of failing to act as a mandatory reporter. One would hope that compassion and desire to protect the most vulnerable members of our society would be enough for someone to make a report. Since child abuse and neglect is still a problem in our society today, more must be done. While enacting higher penalties, educating the citizens, and enforcing the laws individually may not be enough to change. Combined all together, they can be the first step in the right direction. With continued action, child abuse will likely become less prevalent in our society. And hands are for loving, not for hurting. Thanks for watching.